What up, y'all? So I'm doing this video for Mr. Jonah. This is going to be, keep in mind, a retrospective as circumstances have changed and I haven't had changa at my fingertips for a while. I mean, I could go buy it from a million people, but I'd rather not because it's always been compared to the stuff that I've made. But in terms of it as an effective antidepressant, I would say for the 35 days that I did in a row, I was happier than I've probably ever been, and it also took away my prostate pain, but alas, that returned once I went on methadone and I got crazy constipation. But otherwise, I remember the first day I did it and I felt like I actually had energy and this lingering sense of it's gonna be all right, everything's gonna be just fine. And there was this lingering euphoria that just kind of trailed around me all day. And it was a truly beautiful thing. I remember I kind of integrated it into my routine, wake up, brush my teeth, do a half an hour to an hour of exercises. Then I'd do a blast. Sometimes I'd wait to drink my coffee, and I would brush my teeth after I did the changa just to get all that stuff off my teeth. But it was very interesting because like when I first made it, it was very crude. It was just like crushed up Syrian roux with blue lotus mullein and then enhanced leaf. And so all the Syrian roux chunks were falling to the bottom. So as I got towards the end, the dose became much more unpredictable, and I was being blasted into hyperspace like more and more frequently. But it was so odd when I was there. I would just be going over in my head like a routine, I gotta make sure to use the fluoride toothpaste. Maybe I should use a water pick if I've got anything stuck in my teeth. I should make sure to brush the roof of my mouth and my tongue. And if my six pack isn't looking shredded enough, I should do maybe another 50 to 100 crunches or Russian twists. And meanwhile, I would be in hyperspace as an entity would be doing their crazy acrobatics and flashing in my face, but I'm just like barely paying attention to them and thinking about how I can go about bettering my day. And I remember it also opened me up towards being much more honest about what I was doing to treat my own depression. Like I remember I told my doctor, who's he's a very old school addiction doctor, and he sees any drug as a drug because he deals just with the worst of the worst in my city, and my city has got the worst of the worst as far as drug addiction goes. And so he was like straight up calling me a DMT addict. So I remember I took, I said, you know what, I will show you, I'll prove it to you, I will not do it for a week. I mean, I think this was ultimately for naught, because it's not like he could urine test me for that. I think he just, when I came back, I told him, you know what, I waited 5 days, and then I thought, why the hell am I doing this? I feel so much more gloomy, and I'm sinking back into the depression and the doubting and the lack of faith in the future and humanity. And so I went back to doing it after 5 days, and instantly my energy levels were elevated again. And I didn't, it was interesting though, because despite that sense of elation and being balanced with what was around me, I didn't lose the insights that I feel like depression and pessimism has given me. Because I've stated before that, people who are optimists or on SSRIs tend to have this way of viewing only the good and not the bad. And so consequently, they lose sight of some of the grimmer aspects of reality. Like I remember reading somewhere once that people with depression are like 40% more kind of tuned into what's really going on than people who don't suffer from it and do have that natural flow of serotonin, dopamine. But I was able to counter that constant draw that the negative elements of what was around me would bring out. I was able to counter that with, oh, well, there's also a bright side to this or that, or, and like particularly when I was going through all this withdrawal from this just mishap of the Suboxone injections that didn't work. I remember, when I did the changa was like really the only times I got breaks from that, and it was, while I was in just the dead of winter and frostbite temperatures up in Alberta, just in agonizing pain from the withdrawal. I had this sense of I'm powering through this. I'm like leveling up. I am becoming more of a hardened human being by enduring this awful cosmic joke of a situation that I'm in. But also at the same time, though, while I was going through the withdrawal and all that, my immune system was down, and I really do not recommend people do psychedelics when they are sick or they feel their immune system's down, because the dosages get very precarious. Like, you have no idea, like, what could happen. Like, the same thing with my boss. Like, he did 50 milligrams of the changa I made, which is, like, it can be enough to break through if you smoke it and you hold it in. But he was, like, exorcist projectile vomiting, and he said it was the most intense breakthrough he's ever had, and, he's done the 5-MeO, DPT, and then DMT, all this stuff many, many times, and very experienced with it, but said he never experienced anything like that. And so he was saying, oh, this stuff is way too strong, and then a couple days later, he did a muscle of K, and it was like K that was notoriously weak, but something he enjoyed, and he was just flung into like a crazy K-hole by this stuff that's like typically half as weak as what we usually mess around with. And then he went, yeah, you know what, it is my immune system. I don't want to testify for anyone else who has done changa, but from the people I gave it to, I saw pretty instantaneous results of them being able to unburden themselves, being able to absolve something that was really gripping them. But at the same time, just personally speaking, I can't speak for anyone else, but just doing NN-DMT, I've had sometimes the inverse reaction, where something that's bothering me will be enhanced, like, substantially, and I won't be able to stop thinking about it. And I think that's more so because, like, with changa, you're not supposed to really break through. It's more so supposed to be like a classical ayahuasca trip, and I'm not talking about like ayahuasca retreats now, where they give you something so strong and so like concentrated that it blasts you out of your body for like 6 hours. I mean, like, where you're still present, but you're like having a very profound experience. Like that's what changa is supposed to be doing. That's typically why they, mix it with the MAOI to slow it down. And I mean, that being said, because I've made very strong stuff and done very strong stuff, I have broken through on it many times, and I've had probably just as intense, but like more slowed down, drawn out, and easy to process breakthroughs. Whereas, like, the last breakthrough I had on NN-DMT was so fucking fast, and like I was just boing, 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 boing. It wasn't just one hyperspace; it was one after another, after another, after another, and it was just I remember I felt like I saw everything and anything that could potentially happen. Because I always ask myself when I'm there, what's the lesson? What's the lesson I'm taking away? And the lesson was, anything's possible. But try as I might, I can only remember like 3 or 4 frames of that 10 minutes that seem to last an eternity. Whereas changa, also it supplements that like very strange, kind of uncomfortable body high that and especially impure NN-DMT seems to cause. Like the orange stuff I find is the worst, where it's like I feel kind of alien and like off kilter and not natural, like something is wrong, but I can't put my finger on what. Takes that away and it replaces it with this profound euphoria. And I think because, MAOIs, monoamine oxide inhibitors, they still are a class of antidepressants, but as far as how often they're prescribed is, I think, fairly rare these days. I think because that is in the changa, that is what you're using alongside with the free-base DMT and the herbs. It has this uplifting effect, and I've done NN-DMT probably most like 5 days in a row, and could feel like my sanity starting to slip by the end of it. Whereas, thank you, Bluetooth. Sorry. Whereas the changa, I was level-headed through all of it, no matter how intense it was, and I personally can't say I would recommend it because everyone reacts to these things differently, and you need like a real constitution that can allow you to let go and just kind of jive and to surrender to the experience. I remember I saw a female YouTuber, I can't remember her name, but she put out a video like maybe a week ago where she was obviously very distressed, dark night of the soul type shit from doing DMT, for like a month, and just like, I've seen things, now know things that I shouldn't know, and I can't come back to being a human, and so what she was basically describing was derealization. And that's why I really stress that these experiences should not be taken on such a frequency. They should be taken, max like once a month, so you can process, your brain being downloaded with what feels like 10,000 years of information from a breakthrough. Something that loses its novelty. I still, I do it quite a bit. I still get a kick in the pants every now and then, but for the most part, it's like, oh, fuck, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't enough. This isn't far out enough. And then when I do get that surprise kabang, it's like, whoa, this was way more than I asked for. I also don't want one to replace their reality with a perceived other reality that, for most feels realer than real. They call it hyperspace for a reason. It's got characteristics to it which just seem like far too strange and outlandish, but like highly detailed, complex, and intelligent to be a figment of imagination. But again, the majority of people, I think, just really neglect the complexities of our subconscious, and also our conscious mind, and I probably had dreams that are as crazy as breakthroughs. I'm just saying they're very different experiences. If there's anything like any drug that produces a dream-like experience, it's, closed-eyed, K-hole levels of ketamine. Because it's not so much geometric patterns and stuff like that. It's shapes, places, things, but being shown to you through this like insanely refracted lens of dream logic. I remember once I'm seeing a donut jumping through a donut with a sheriff's hat, like a sprinkled donut, and like a little holster, and kind of the rubber hose arms and legs, jumping through a ring of fire, and I was just like, what am I supposed to make of this exactly? I don't know, like, but at the same time, I think ketamine, though, seems like a more nonsensical and, like, near delirious drug than DMT or changa. I mean, I'm sure they both have the potential to drive people completely mad, but there seems to be more rhyme, reason, lucid interactivity when it comes to the DMT experience. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for me, around the time my changa supply ran out was when I was put back on methadone, and it it undid all the work that the changa did for me, essentially. So, that I would put out to you as a caveat, that this is not an infallible means of relief. This is something that, is a seed you sow, and whether it grows is up to what you choose to put into it, what you choose to fertilize with it, how you choose to care for the experience, how you choose to cultivate the experience. Yeah, it's, I think, especially for people who cling very much to a routine, a regimen, comfort brought to them by what we see as objective reality, I think could experience some very deep distress from such constant intervals of ego death. Because ego death is, it's something else. I've explained in 3 Deaths Before 30 Part 1 that I remembered dying that time, and it was very similar. It was like I was convinced I was gone and there's no coming back. Or conversely, I'll have the sense that I've gone permanently insane from what I just did to myself, and that is almost worse than just the ego death of, oh, my mortal coil has now been extinguished and I'm stuck in this place for forever, because you think, oh, well, I'm here, back in this mortal coil, but I'm now forever insane. I'm forever manipulated irreversibly on a neurochemical level, and I'm schizophrenic or whatever. It always is faded, and it tends to happen for me after ego death. I come out and I'm like, whoa, there's just no way I can see anything the same after this, and then that fades and I go right back to my senses almost immediately. I'd say if you're going to try to use changa frequently for the purposes of antidepressants, be very careful about what you take it with. That MAOI, it can enhance a lot of things to the point of being potentially neurotoxic. And B, try not to do breakthrough doses when you do it. Try to do something where you can still be in your body and you can maybe meditate and just kind of take in this sense of being surrounded by that Mother Aya type archetype of a maternal loving presence who wants you to succeed, who wants you to feel loved, and who wants you to feel warm and wrapped in that loving, caring, supportive embrace. Yeah, I mean, again, at the same time, I don't urge anyone to do these things, especially if they have a history of mental illness that includes psychosis or anything like that. Just as I said, this, I can't remember her channel name, but she did one of those DMT for 30 days type things, and she was, obviously very sane, reasonable person from what I could tell, but, she was, sounding like a complete crazy person who was, had this profound sense of detachment from herself in this world. And so that's why I think, another urging I would give you is, if you're going to pursue that, which again I do not advise, do it for the purposes of making your life here in this world that we spend most of our time, better, not escaping into another world to just, get some temporary reprieve from this world, because you will get throttled. You will get fucking smacked upside the head by a, cosmic fucking backhand. But anyways, I can follow this up once I do make some more, but it will take a couple of weeks. But in retrospect, that's what I would describe the antidepressant effects as. I hope that helps. You'll have a lovely day, and please be generous enough to give me one of those sexy thumbs up, and an even sexier slow dance of a subscribe, baby. God, I'm a fucking cheeseball. Help me.